Hey there, gang. Back at Forest Lawn, Glendale, LA, California. We're at the Great Mausoleum here, walking down the road. And I'm going to tell you the story of an expert marksman shooter in the 1800s, Colorado. He's here. Story happened in Delta, Colorado. The McCarty gang came. Big gang out there. Well, a family gang, I shouldn't say big, it was formidable. But they came to Delta to rob the bank. It was September 7th, 1893. And three men formed this gang. Father of one and brother of the other. So their leader was a guy named Tom McCarty, and the younger brother of Tom was Bill, and his son Fred McCarty. He was only 19 or 20 years old. Now Tom was a former miner and a rancher who turned outlaw, started rustling cattle with his younger brother Bill. But now the two moved up to bank robbery. And they were coming to Delta. What a beautiful, beautiful mausoleum this is. And hopefully we can go inside. So they moved up to bank robbery, and along with a guy named Matt Warner, plus Bill's son Fred and various other outlaws, they were robbing banks in Washington and Oregon. And they worked their way up to Utah, to western Colorado, and they descended upon this town. Now what's interesting is it is said, I don't know if it's rumor, but it is said that this is the guy who trained a certain individual how to shoot. Robert Leroy Parker, otherwise known as Butch Cassidy. Yes. So they moved into Delta. They had actually camped out for a few days, and they were pretending that they were ranch owners coming in to speculate on some purchases. But at 10:15 a.m. they stormed in and went to the bank. And there was bank teller Andrew Blockley and H.H. Wolbert. Throw up your hands. Now Andrew Blockley, he was a father of 8 sons. Maybe made the mistake of crying out loud, "Bank robbery, bank robbery." And young Fred told him to simmer down, and he wouldn't shut up. So young Fred shot him. And the sound of that shooting, that gunshot, sounded the alarm. All the citizens knew what was going on, and they started to gather and get armed. In the meantime, they got their haul, their booty. It wasn't that much, but it was something. And they hurried to their mounts, the horses, with Tom. They got their horses around to the north, and they broke into a gallop. But there was a man named Ray Simpson. And that's whose crypt we're going to try to go to here. So Ray, William Ray, he got out his long rifle, and I don't think it was a repeater. It was just a long rifle. And as they were riding away, and it was a great distance on the move, he shot Bill McCarty right off the saddle, killed him. Tom kept going, but Fred, that's his dad, he's coming around. He's like, "You son of a bee." And he takes 3 shots at Ray from the distance, and the bullets, from a pistol, they're just whizzing by. And Ray, the bullets are flying. This guy has the nerve, he's got to reload, It might have been I'm not sure what type of, it wasn't a, I don't think it was a cartridge load, but if it was, he was reloading. And he calmly, like, lobbed a shot that took young Fred out right off his horse. So post-mortem shots, bragging to everybody, the town, they got him. But Tom rode off into the sunset. He was gone. But never heard from again. So we're going to talk about that. So we are at the entrance here to the Great Mausoleum. And I believe on the right side here is where Michael Jackson is. Can't go in there. But on the left here, we have, well, I'm not sure, it says he's in the Great Sanctuary. So I'm hoping that we can get in there to see. Right now it's still locked up, but it is opening shortly. So hopefully we can have a look inside. I'm not going to bring this big camera in there. My big cinematic, that would be kind of obtrusive. I'm going to try to stay low key with maybe a cell phone camera. But first, let's go check out this amazing statue I see up here. Let's check out the entrance. Now, Deb, our ancestry helper, did some digging on this and tracking down Tom. It sounds like Tom started another gang or joined another gang, and he may have met his end in Meeker. And it's another famous story that a bank robbery, same kind of MO. But all three of these guys in that one were shot dead. And I think he was going under the alias name Jones. What a stunning place this is, I have to tell you. Just immaculate. Look at that statue, isn't that beautiful? Here's a statue of Jesus with the children. For of such is the kingdom of heaven. All the children. Yeah, so Deb, let me pull out my notes here and we'll set this down and I'll tell you what Deb said. And you gotta credit Deb, she is amazing. So, let's see what we've got here. Gang. So, she found an article that was about 3 years later. And we go to a place called Meeker, Colorado. 1896, right? And it was reported from a newspaper of the let's see here, the Stevensville, Montana, I think, October 21st, 1896. A special to the Herald Democrat from Meeker, Colorado says, Meeker, 90 miles from Rifle on the Rio Grande. The nearest telegraph station. Yesterday afternoon, October 3rd, 1896, at approximately 3 p.m., 3 men entered the Bank of Meeker, which is connected with the storeroom of J.W. Hughes and Company, who owns the bank. 2 of the men held up the store employees while the third went into the bank cashier's window and, firing 1 shot, ordered the cashier to throw up his hands. The order was not quickly obeyed, and the robber fired again, whereupon the cashier's hands went up quickly. The manager of the store was then forced to open the bank door, and after gathering up all the money in sight, the robbers marched the cashier and store employees into the street with hands uplifted. Then they rushed out the back way with their booty. Now, they wouldn't get far because the citizens, attracted by the shots, had pretty well surrounded the place, and by this time, being armed, opened fire on the robbers from all sides, two of whom, Charles Jones and William Slith, were killed by the first volley. The third man, George Harris, was shot through the lungs, and he died in about 2 hours. So, putting the pieces together, Deb thinks that Charles Jones' alias was an alias for McCarty, the McCarty who escaped, right? They said that before he died, George Harris, and they're probably all fake names, fully identified and gave the other names, which they said are probably to be fictitious. 4 citizens were wounded. W.H. Clark, the district game warden, bullet in the right breast, not fatal. Victor Dickerman, clerk, shot through the right arm. C.A. Booth, the clerk, scalp wound. And W.P. Herrick, his finger was shot off. It is believed one of the dead men is Thomas McCarty, and so there's others that made this summation, who robbed banks at Telluride and Delta, Colorado. So with all of this, it's probably him. That's how he met his end. What's interesting is he was sending threatening notes to our man here, Ray Simpson. Anonymous, well, not anonymous notes, they were threatening notes, like, I'm going to come back and get you for those 3 years. But obviously, I don't think they put the pieces together fully for years after, but that one article did make some of these, connected some of the dots. Deb says that further evidence why she thinks it's probably him is John Thomas Tom McCarty would have been 45 in 1896, and from the picture we have of him, and I think it would be the far guy on the right there's a post-mortem of all 3. Dark-haired with the receding hairline. So that's Jones was probably McCarty. And they did make a description. They said Jones would weigh 160 pounds. They said he weighed, black hair, slightly bald in front, right leg about 1.5 inches shorter than the left. And he was about 5'8" in height. Harris had a fine physique. He weighed 180 pounds, light hair, sandy beard, and mustache. And Smith, smooth face, height 5'7", says it is believed that one of the robbers is Thomas McCarty again. So again, Charles Jones, leader of the bandits, age 45, shot through the lungs and chest. So we talked about William Smith. William Smith was the younger one, I think on the far left, age 21, riddled through the lungs and chest, shot through the heart, and a number of other wounds. He got it pretty bad, any one of which would have been mortal. And then George Harris, robber, age 35, shot through the lungs and chest. So they were probably pretty close range shots, just aiming for center mass, and just took these guys apart. So what do you guys think? Do you think it was him? Probably was him. Yeah, great job, Deb, thanks. So interesting story, and I think they are open now, so I'm going to put this camera away, and if I can't find his crypt, or we can't access his crypt, then I'll put some pictures up, and that's how we'll close this off. All right, guys? See you later. See you in a minute. We are in. Wow, this is spectacular. Look at this. The Last Supper. Well, it was a little challenging for me to get in here. So I'm being very discreet, no gimbal. But I did find Ray's vault, and it's right here. Look at this. Amazing. Really nice people here. The statue. Joan of Arc. Well, this is Ray's vault right here. What a hero. The hero of Delta. Amazing. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Ray Simpson. All right, guys, I'm gonna look around a little more and then head out. I was happy we were able to get in. And he's an amazing guy. All right, see you later.